Good evening, everybody. This is The Opinion Guy. I am Chales Guarria, broadcasting just minutes away from the world's most famous beach, Daytona Beach in Daytona Beach, Florida. And depending on where you are, because you know how Florida is, it could be raining on half your lawn and not on the other half. I've actually experienced that. It is the world's wettest beach tonight, as I like to say, because it is pouring, and I'm just minutes away, as you know, from Daytona Beach. So it is pouring in this section, but I was literally on my grass, which is green, like my backdrop today. And I was doing something on the lawn, and I looked over to my left, and like right up to about halfway through the property, it was raining, and the part that I was standing on wasn't. That's Florida. So that has nothing to do with the show, other than I thought about it, and I make all this stuff up when I start the show. But of course, we got a great show. We got the full panel this evening, and we have a special guest. Who's the special guest? I'm not saying. I got to keep you guys around. That's called a teaser. If I say who the special guest is, then you guys are going to know ahead of time, and that's the end of the teaser. So that's not good either. Enough of me, because I am not as interesting as my panel. So without further ado, I bring to you Michael Vass, Joe Hannoush, and John Navarra. It's a full house plus one coming up. I don't know how we get 5 people on the screen when we bring up our special guest. I might have to leave and leave it for you guys. How is everybody?
Don't tease the audience.
Well, Mike has his own show. It's interesting, show against show.
I can't hear John.
Okay. I can.
What was that, John?
Okay. Yeah, you have Mike has his own show from what you've said. So you have show host against show host. Joe and I are kind of guests on the shows, but you run your own show. So it's interesting the different rules that you might have, like teaser, no teaser.
Yeah.
Hey, guys, anytime you want to come on to my show on a Sunday, no problem. Just let me know. I will send you the link. You can jump on in. I am absolutely sure you won't be able to make the 5 hours that I do on the regular. But you can jump in and out.
That's a great thing. Whoop. Okay. Yeah, that's a great. I was actually on Mike's show during his birthday marathon show when he raised money for Project Jericho Homeless. And I spent, I don't know, man, but I don't know how much time I spent on it, like 50 minutes or so. Yeah, just BSing. It was awesome. Yep, great. Mike does a fantastic job. We watch him all the time. I'm in and out on a Sunday because I'm always working 12 to 15 hours a day, putting all this stuff together. And so at any rate, we are waiting on Joe to come back. And he is back. And if our special guest is listening, come on at any time. And I'll just keep you backstage. But folks, we do really need to start out with some sad news. I don't know if you guys heard this. So we're going to start there before we get into the gist of our show. There's breaking news. CNN reported just a half hour ago, basically 40 minutes ago, that 8 crew members are believed dead after a B-52 bomber crashed at California's Edward Air Force Base. And I hate to start the news on a downer, but that is breaking the show on the downer, but that is breaking news. And I'm going to speak on this and let you guys, have a minute or two as well. But as you know, when you join the military, you know that putting your life on the line doesn't only mean going to war or rescuing, Americans around the world. It can mean in training. So I'm not sure what these folks are doing. I wouldn't be. I'll check to see if they were training or not. I saw the news about 5 o'clock and got the update at 6:30. Because at 5, of course, they weren't reporting people had passed. Don't know the makeup of anybody as far as what service they were in, but it kind of got me down. Honestly, 40 minutes ago, I wasn't feeling so great. It is just a chilling reminder of what we ask these young men and women to do on our behalf. So I just wanted to extend my heartfelt sympathies to the families involved and make sure that we got this out on the top of the show. So, Mike, I'm going to go to you as the other former ex-military on this panel, and thoughts on this.
I saw the initial announcement about the crash. It's a B-52 Stratofortress. It's a very very big plane. It's one of the big bombers that we have. From what I was understanding at the time, I believe it's Air Force, and it crashed after takeoff. Now, for what people don't know very often, generally the two most dangerous times for a plane is right after takeoff and in landing. And that has a lot to do with the speed that they have and how much wind or lift that they have on the plane. If they don't have the right speed based on what's going on with the weather conditions at that time, then the plane won't be able to keep lifting itself up in the air, and it comes right back down. I assume, I don't know, that may have been the case, that the plane didn't hit the proper speed. It may have been a training, didn't hit the right speed, and then, of course, wound up crashing. It's rare. We train our pilots very, very well. We have a lot of simulators, but nothing's like in real life. I am sorry to hear that anyone passes away in our military, especially when it's something like at home. I mean, you kind of expect it when you're on a mission and the enemy is engaging with you. You kind of understand and expect that risk. You don't really expect it for something like this, or a helicopter crashes and just falls out of the sky because of a loose bolt or something. So it's really sad. I haven't seen a further update on it. I feel bad for the families, and I just hope that all the men passed in the fastest way possible so they didn't feel any pain. I mean, that's about the nicest thing you can say about that is, they probably didn't feel it.
Let's hope. I did check a few things there and updated the news. There's going to be a press conference our time, Eastern time, 7:15 p.m. That's Eastern USA. And the plane actually took off at 11:15. What it doesn't say in the CNN piece is whether it happened at takeoff or at landing, which you said both are the most dangerous times, right?
Yeah. Both are about equal for the same reason. Mm-hmm.
Yes. So it didn't say that. So, thoughts on this, John?
Yeah. My condolences to the families, anyone in the military. And I agree with Mike that how many takeoffs and landings do we have, and how many flights do we have every day? And this is extremely rare. So it's like there is always a risk, but the reverse side is really amazing that there are hundreds probably of flights every day with our military, and they're safe, and we don't hear about them because you almost have 100% guarantee that in the U.S. in continental U.S. that the flights are going to be safely done. So I agree that the people that fly the planes are extremely as experienced and knowledgeable as anyone could possibly be. Otherwise, we wouldn't have the safety record we have. So this is very rare, but unfortunately, things like weather with flights and, like you say, the danger of takeoff and landing. But if you fly planes, there is a risk. And it's a testament to the military how safe it is, because we almost never hear about fortunately a situation like this. So I would trust myself on a military vehicle, a plane anytime, because of the record. The safety record speaks more than anything else.
Right. Yeah. How about you, Joe?
I think you all hit every point I could possibly think of and more. Yeah, it's sad. Obviously, it's not something you don't ever want to hear. But to what has been said, it does happen. It's one of those. I learned many years ago something about Six Sigma, and Six Sigma is a business thing where you try to get to a certain percentage of products that you make that are just as good as possible. It's like 99.999% efficient or something. But every once in a while, it's never 100%. There's going to be problems that happen, and airlines, planes were the highest Sigma. Like there's planes taking off and landing all the time, whether they're military or private or anything. It's the safest thing you do, probably. It's the thing with the least amount of malfunction or errors. But it still happens. Nothing is 100%. So it is very sad when it happens. You don't ever expect it, but it still happens. Unfortunately, it's sad when it does, obviously.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And
go ahead, John.
And the added thing too, just by coincidence, until 9/11, when they had moved to Texas, my wife had worked for this company called Flight Safety International. They were a private company at the Embry-Riddle campus, and that's a private enterprise. And they tested pilots, and so she did a little bit of the training on the training simulator. So she got training on the simulator because she worked there. Not much, but she just got a little taste of how hard it is to take off and land. And she said the landing was really, really hard. Just being a novice and never doing it before. You come in at such a speed, and it's interesting how if you aren't trained, that you're coming in so fast, you have to have that skill. And you have to have it together, otherwise you're not going to land. So she got to see how it really was on a simulator.
I have to tell you that point well taken there, Joe. When you said it's one of the safest things to do. I think actually more than Joe said that. And I will never forget when we thought we were going to be in a plane crash in March. I mean, obviously you would never forget it, but it's one of the uppermost thoughts of my mind ever since then. We were just speaking, Don and I were just speaking about the other day. And when that pilot said, this is an emergency, we're going from Sanford International over here, which is the second biggest in Orlando. It's not the main one that you would fly into or in Orlando. It's a regional in Charlotte for folks who didn't hear the story. And we started to descend. All of a sudden we started to ascend, and I was like, this isn't good. And I started texting my sister, telling her what's going on because I wanted some record of what was happening. We ascended some more, and then all of a sudden the pilot said, "This is an emergency," and it just absolutely was one of the most surreal moments of my entire life, more so than 9/11, because I had control on 9/11, and I had no control. Right? I mean, I ran for my life on 9/11 for like 30, 45 seconds. I had no control over what was going to, and Donna was praying. The woman next to me was praying out loud. It was quite a moment. But yes, we landed safely. There were no issues. But it was scary as heck. But it's still fly. I mean, at that moment, I was like, am I going to fly again? And once we landed, I'm like, of course I am. Because it is super safe and things like that. So yeah, no issue. But scary as heck, man, when that happens. But yeah, heartfelt once again. I will keep on top of that. 7:15 is really they might be doing it now. The press conferences are usually a little bit late, but as the show goes on and the news builds on it, we can circle back to it just to keep everybody informed. Thanks for your thoughts. That was very much off the cuff. I know you guys like it that way, and I appreciate that. So we do have some other breaking news on a happier note. Somebody who pinch hits for Joe Hannoush is going to come on. So this is the first in many ways. I've never brought on a guest just for a spot. We're just going to do a little spot talk with our guest. And also, we're going to have 5 people on the screen. So I don't know if one of us is going to drop off. Did I pay to have 5 people? Am I allowed to have 5 people? Streamer are going to be like, you need to upgrade your plan.
No.
So if one of you disappears. Okay, so without further ado, I bring to you Gabe Wozniak. Hey, Gabe, we got all 5 people on the screen. All right. What's going on, Gabe?
Charles, Michael, John, Joe, how are you today?
Good.
Oh, doing well, man.
This is the opinion guy history.
Yeah, got a
What's
nice
that?
threat match over there.
Yeah, look at
We're
that.
halfway to Brady Bunch
You're
right
wearing
now.
a green shirt. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Joe.
No, we're halfway to Brady Bunch right now, I think.
It kind of looks like that, right? That's funny. And I have a green background, and you're wearing a green shirt. We did not plan this.
No, we didn't.
The idea of Gabe coming on literally happened about 15 minutes ago. Show prep, baby. I'm like, Gabe, what happened? Did you get qualified? And he's, I just blew it. That's what you're on to tell. Give us the news, Gabe.
You got qualified?
Yes, I'm officially qualified.
Awesome.
After a couple of angry phone calls from the state election division, we got it all figured out.
They were angry at you, or you were angry at them?
I'm always angry at the government not working efficiently.
Okay.
I had a couple of those phone calls as well for myself.
They're like, "Oh, you
The audience loves
can't
that.
notarize the 301 AE." I'm like, my notary said I don't notarize that. I notarized the 301A. It's like, yeah, we need the 301 AE. I'm like, all right, same information.
All right.
Yeah.
So it's like a paperwork type thing.
I had to do that 3 times.
I also had to send them a letter that was me promising the check I sent was from the campaign account and not the personal account.
Oh, man.
I tried my best not to write it sassy.
I always want to do that when I have a return from the IRS. I just want to put like FU on it, but I know it's pointless.
Like I started out with, I solemnly swear. Go into a paragraph about how we're a grassroots campaign. We wouldn't even dream of doing something like sending a check from a personal account. And
Exactly.
I just hope whoever read it had a good laugh.
Yeah. I actually pay online now. I'm thinking back to the days when I used to write the check.
We can't do that.
Now.
You have to send an actual physical check.
Yeah.
For this thing, right? Yeah.
Yep.
So Gabe, while we have you on, let's do around the table here. Joe, you're officially qualified, correct?
I am, yes.
All right. How about you, John?
Yes, I am qualified.
All righty. Awesome. Great.
I'm not.
Congratulations to everybody.
I'm not running for anything yet.
Especially in Florida.
Yeah, he just dropped a hint, folks. Don't bury the lead. Yet. What's going on, Mike? Breaking news right now.
Hey,
Larry Sherritt's running mate.
I deserve, or I believe I deserve, to be in Congress. So, anything's possible, especially in New York's 15th. I can beat the Puerto Rican Democrat here.
Since I got a great idea, Mike. Since you're supporting one of the greatest liberty voices in the country, Larry Sharp, who's running as an independent for governor of New York, why don't you and Larry run on a libertarian ticket for president?
Can't. 2 reasons.
Why?
2 really good. One reason is silly, but the other one is serious. Well, sort of. One, you have 2 New Yorkers on the same ticket. You can't.
Yeah, it'd be rough.
That's by law. By law, you can't have a president and a vice president in the same state. They have to be from 2 different states.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
In addition to that, it's the same reason why I couldn't run for, say, lieutenant governor with Larry, because we're both in New York City. And literally, if you're looking at a statewide election in New York, 2 people from New York City will lose every vote in upstate New York.
Okay.
So you always have to have someone from upstate combined with someone downstate to have any real chance. If you're not just a Democrat in the Democratic loop, that's the only way around that. And even then, they still get someone from a different section of New York when they have someone in New York City, almost always. So that's really a reason why I couldn't do it. Plus, of course, I'm a Republican and Larry's a Libertarian. I suppose we could both run if we tried to do something on an independent line, we both could be on, but otherwise it would be a bit of a battle.
Well, it's about time one of the 2 of you moved out of that state. It's a hellhole anyway. So one of you move and then you run. That's all. You got 2 years to find a place to live.
Well, it's always a possibility.
Okay.
Mike,
Now,
Donna said the guest room's yours. You want to come down here and look. She said that. So
now I have a little, Charles, I have a little historical info for you. When Dick Cheney named himself, because he was on the search committee for George W. Bush, when he chose himself, which was okay, you can do anything you want, vice president. When he chose himself to be the vice presidential candidate, he had to change his official domicile address to Wyoming because he was registered to vote and his home currently was in Texas. And like Mike said, according to the Constitution, you have to have 2 separate states for president and vice president to give a little bit of diversity. So he was, of course, he grew up in Wyoming, and he was a congressman in Wyoming. So certainly wasn't carpetbagging, but he just went back to where he served as representative, because somehow I don't know how, but somehow he wound up in Texas.
Yeah, it's just weird the way that, and that's one of those little things that unless you've been a candidate running for something, people have no idea about that. It's just that anecdotal, like if you run or you know people who run and worked with them, you know that that's a quirk in the law, but nobody else knows that. It's just one of those things.
Know. I have a political science degree, a master's degree in political science, and I didn't know that.
Oh, you outrank me.
Literally.
I have bachelor's in political science.
I have none.
Oh, that's what I have too. I'm sorry. My master's degree.
Okay, we're even.
I mean, a master's degree degrees.
You know what they say?
Gabe, come on to hear all this, because Gabe has something he's promoting.
Oh, okay.
So he has 2 things. One I spilled the beans on, but I'm not spilling the beans on the other one, Gabe. I'm going to leave the next one all up to you. What's going on down on Main Street? That's all I'm going to say. What's happening, Gabe?
On June 20th, this Saturday, I'm having a fund earning event, because I don't like the idea of asking for money for my campaign. I like to earn it. So I'm going to be picking up my old apron and getting behind the bar for a volunteer bar position or celebrity guest appearance, whatever they call it. And I'm going to have all my tips accumulated and be considered as a donation from World's Most Famous Brewery.
Cool.
Okay.
World's Most Famous Brewery from 5 to 10 p.m. I'll be behind the bar. Ask me anything until I need to get someone something to drink.
All right. That is so cool, man. I love it. So you're going to be there from 5 to 10 this Saturday. Yep. World's Most Famous Brewery is on Main Street in Daytona Beach. Main Street is like the main area where Bike Week and Biketoberfest happen. Of course, it's all over Volusia, but the hottest of the hot spots is really right there on Main Street in Daytona Beach. And the owner of the World's Most Famous Brewery, actually both owners have been on this show. Just last week, we had Tom Caffrey on. Online, he's Tomasta McPasta, and he did a little history show with a historian that we had as well. And he's very active in the community. And the other person is who co-owns is an author who was on the show and on the Board of Education, Krista Goodrich. They're doing a great job with that brewery, and it is awesome that you're going to be there. So if you're in the neighborhood, come on down and ask Gabe any question about his district and what he's running for. And of course, buy a drink. It's a campaign fundraiser for Gabe. What time again?
5 to 10 p.m. And I'll have yard signs for everyone.
And it's this Saturday.
That's correct. The 20th.
All right. Well, thanks for stopping on by and giving us that info. And thanks for being the first ever spot guest on my show. This is great. We have 5 on the screen. I love it.
It's an honor.
Oh, and I have, I could add in a little something.
Yes, of course.
Yes. Gabe would be running against Judy Ying because she is automatically the Democratic candidate. And she and her husband taught at my school during my time teaching at my school. So we all taught at Pine Ridge, and I was with her on Saturday.
Nice.
So I do know Judy Ying and her husband, Sean Ying.
Well, that sounds like it's time for a debate with Gabe and Judy, just like John and Monica had a debate last week, I think it was. You guys were on last week. It all melts together for me.
Only a week ago.
Yeah. They had a debate for Daytona Beach City Zone 1, City Commission Zone 1. And I've been putting out each question one at a time. There were 9 questions on the show. So just go to The Opinion Guy and you'll find their questions. The questions from the public, like 6 of the 9 questions came from the residents of Daytona Beach, a couple from me, and each one of those is being broken down. I got 3 more to go, but the whole show and all the questions are on The Opinion Guy on YouTube. And Gabe, we're going to let you go, but I appreciate you coming on.
I'd love to do it today.
Always
a good chance to exemplify why libertarian values trump Republican and Democrat ones.
And you used Trump on purpose right there. I know you did. Okay,
right.
I'll
I
talk
appreciate
to
it.
you later.
Have a great
I'll
rest
see
of
you
your
around. Gabe and I randomly run into each other all over Volusia County. Like I was delivering to a bar, and Gabe was in there talking to his friend inside the bar, you know, and it's like Gabe, I see you everywhere. Italian places, bars,
candidate. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I'm everywhere.
I'll
It's
see
my
you
job.
someplace soon, I'm sure.
All right.
What's that?
See you.
All right.
I said I'm everywhere. It's my
Thanks
job.
for coming on.
Yeah.
All right. See you soon. That was awesome.
I got my box space
All right,
back now. Good.
Yes, we're bigger now. That was
We got
cool. I
candidates
loved it.
galore tonight.
Breaking new ground. Yes, actually, I wanted an update on everybody's candidacy. So, so John, you are qualified, and what's going on with you as far as your campaign?
Okay, so always something going on. Last Thursday, from a big appearance at SBB, WSBB Radio, which I think I told you about. So I was on from about 8:05 to about 8:10, 8:07. It seemed short when I was on there, but it was good. And so I was a guest, and they asked me, why are you running? Tell me about you and things you want to do and how people can contact you. So I did put it on my Facebook, and they said, share it any way you want. And if you had wanted to use it, Charles, you can, because they say share it anywhere. I don't know if that would be biased and I understand. I mean, it's just, if it would be a conflict of interest for you, I understand. But hey, it's free use for anybody. Okay, it's free use for anybody. So you can throw it on there, and I don't mention my opponent. And it was just a thing of because I have the attitude of right now it's still kind of early in the campaign, and I'd rather people know who I am and what I'm running for and what my ideas on the issues is, because anybody could bash an opponent, anybody could throw around a bunch of mudslinging, but people really want to know, hopefully, really want to know what are you going to do? And if you don't answer that, and then why you're running. So it's about who I am and what issues I care about in a few minutes.
Okay. And Joe, what's going on with your campaign?
Yeah. And John made a great point there. There are candidates that don't like to talk about what they're going to do. And that's one of the reasons why I first got to running for office, is because I was doing my ballot in 2016 and I didn't know what some of these candidates were even running on. And I did my research on them. So that is a great point. So I just got qualified for Florida State House of Representatives in District 28. So that is Northeast Volusia. That includes Daytona Beach, Ormond Beach, Holly Hill, Ormond by the Sea. What am I forgetting? I think that's it. But yeah, that general area there, Northeast Volusia County. And I'm running as a Libertarian Party candidate. Surprise, surprise. So there's a Democrat, there's a Republican that are also qualified for it. But yeah, they don't have there's no primaries in this seat. It's all three of us that qualified are going to be on the general election ballot. And hopefully voters listen to all of us and make an open-minded decision on who would be best to sit in that seat and not want to force their views on everyone else using government.
Okay. All right. Michael, you're not running for anything, but I was remiss last week on the air and did not ask about Khan. So your dog, Khan. So 2 weeks ago, your dog was bitten by a pit bull while we were on the air. And I wanted to ask you last week, and we got off the air, and you, me, and Addison, I asked you then. So I want to get it out. How is your dog now 2 weeks afterwards?
Oh, Khan is doing pretty good. I mean, for those who don't know, and you just saw him just a second ago, he was up on, he wanted to say hello to me. So people may have noticed him on the screen. He's 23 pounds. He's a half Bichon, half Scotty. So he's not a big dog. And there was a 150-pound pit bull, came from the backyard, just got loose, had no collar, no gait, and just came on out and attacked him. He wound up getting a scratch, one puncture on his back. Thankfully, no broken bones. Pit bulls have incredible jaw strength, but for some reason, he didn't get any other injuries, mostly because he was fighting. He was going to fight back. But he wound up being okay. We just got done with his antibiotics, and the soreness went down. The sad thing is, though, last Saturday, my sister had come up. One of my other sisters had came up to visit and see him to see if he's okay. Not to see if I was okay, but to see if my dog was okay. And she decided to walk him 2 pit bulls from a different house down the block, came bursting out of the backyard. They normally are in the building of one of the houses, but got outside somehow. No leash, no gate, no collar. I really feel bad for my sister. She wound up picking up Khan and running down the block with him. And so he's okay there. But again, 2 dogs just came out of nowhere. So let me say again to everyone, please, if you've got a dog, especially a bigger dog, especially aggressive dogs like pit bulls can be. I know they love you. They may not love everyone or anyone else. Please keep them on a leash, keep them in a gate, and make sure that it's secure. Because you don't know. It could be a kid, it could be someone's little dog, it could be a grown adult. You never know. Just, love your dog, have a great time, and let everyone else have the great time they want to have. Because you wouldn't want me to walk out with my shotgun to finish a fight that, the pit bull started. You really don't want that, do you?
All right. So swelling, antibiotics are working. Is there another vet visit coming up?
Yeah, we've got a couple scheduled. But he's doing well. He's feeling good. It's been the hot weather has been more, thankfully. The biggest problem lately has been it's been over 90, 95 in New York and with high humidity. And that's pretty much knocking him out. So thank God that's been the worst thing. It could have been so much worse. So I'm really thankful about that.
Yeah, very happy. Very happy to hear that Khan is doing better. And did hear about the weather. Yeah, it's funny because I was watching the Cardinals played the Mets, and they're talking about how beautiful the weather is. And the game started at like 7 o'clock, and it's 72 degrees. And I'm like, it's going to be in the 60s. And by the time the sun goes down, that's not beautiful. It's freezing.
Oh, wow.
We're like 100
Michael,
like
I'm
every
glad
day.
you're okay.
Yeah.
No one else cares.
All right. Well, we do
care about you.
see that? Way to be, Joe. All righty. Okay. Well, of course, the big news of the day. Not the big news now with the plane with the B-52 crashing, but prior to that, the news of the day was the peace deal that's being worked out between the U.S. and Iran. We're getting kind of like bits and pieces. Nothing's going to be really announced until Friday, but we have a really good idea of what's going to happen. And we are going to break this down pretty meticulously. But I wanted to start out with an overview here just to get everybody on the same page, frame the topic, and then we'll go from there in a piece by piece mode. So my sources on this were CNN and NPR, and it's called a Memorandum of Understanding. I do want to tell folks, we've spoken about this before, prepare for the terms to change as more is confirmed by both governments, unless it's based on official sources. A lot of this stuff is official source, and the White House said, and that sort of thing. And as things come out from the White House and from Iran confirming it, then we know for sure. But basically, CNN and NPR are reporting these following facts here that
Hang on.
Trump advanced. Yes.
Before you go further, be careful about the sources because CNN, like many, have been taking information from the IRGC through the Enduring Front, which is in opposition of the main Iranian government, and they have been putting out false information. So every time you hear that President Trump has said, oh, this is happening, and like on Saturday and Sunday, when you heard that Donald Trump said this deal was going to be signed on Sunday, the IRGC through the Enduring Front told CNN it's not going to happen they printed that, they were wrong. So grain of salt when you're listening to this, got to look for the details. CNN lies.
Right. Mm-hmm. You're right, but not here. I'm really good at checking that.
No, I trust you. I don't trust CNN.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. No, this is because this is solid stuff. So Trump and Vance both virtually signed the agreement to end the U.S. blockade of Iranian ports and report the Strait of Hormuz and reopen the Strait of Hormuz, according to senior U.S. official. Trump, who is in France at the G7 summit, suggested he won't attend the formal ceremony on Friday in Switzerland. Of course, details are still unclear. That's why I gave the proviso and Michael as well, because they're using sources, as best they can. I wouldn't use the IRGC either. I agree with that. But until you hear officially from the White House, and Iran says yes, because there's been so many, like Iran has like the two groups that are actually right now kind of like loggerheads within their government. So you're getting two different stories there. However, things will probably change. The first three reports are always wrong in war and in situations of peace negotiations. But Trump is saying the details will likely be publicly released after the signing ceremony, which again is on Friday. Both sides have offered differing accounts on some key issues. Essentially, the banter boils down to the ceasefire will be extended for 60 days. There will be talks on a permanent end to the war and the fate of Iran's nuclear program still to come. The Strait of Hormuz blockades from both sides will be lifted. There are some conflicting reports, as you can see there, as to when passage will begin. Trump said that it's already partially open, and on Friday it'll be completely open. That's according to CNN. NPR says Trump said Sunday the strait will be open for mine removal. So which one is correct? This is what Mike's speaking about. This is what I'm speaking about when we say like things might change a little bit here and there. That's pretty normal. But we'll go with what we have right now. Iran wants billions of dollars in assets that have been frozen abroad, and the lifting of those and the lifting of international sanctions. So that's sort of the overview on a large scale. We're going to break this down bit by bit and discuss what might seem not so real and what is probably most likely to happen. So again, U.S. Iran MOU ceasefire extended for 60 days. Upcoming talks will focus on a permanent end to the war. Fate of Iran's nuclear program is a part of those discussions. So honestly, on this right here, that to me is just like more of the same. So there's been a ceasefire, and they're just going to extend it. They're going to talk about permanent end to the war. John, I'm going to start with you on this one. And do you have any hope that Iran would actually agree to diminish, if not completely eliminate, their nuclear program? And are they going to pull this is peaceful, so that part we get to keep, garbage, or would they actually be like, okay, the whole thing's over? Because it seems like it could be a deal breaker right off the top. But John, do you think Iran would ever come to an agreement where they are neutered in regards to their nuclear program?
We'll have to see. I'm not really sure. One thing that Mike and I may agree on is that if they do, like, you can't sign a piece of paper and say, hey, they're never going to have, because never is a long time. And Trump is in office another 2 years. And so the thing is, if they sign a piece of, I can sign a piece of paper saying I'm a frog. I mean, I can sign a piece of paper saying anything I want. So the thing is, you would have to have, they would have to agree to having people remove the nuclear material or monitor that they don't have them, or also monitor that they don't have them. Otherwise, there's just an agreement. But and Reagan did have a point with trust but verified, and so you would have to have the verification, and so otherwise it's not really an agreement. And we'll have to see what happens here. Both sides. The tricky part now is that both sides may really have to give in unless Iran just totally capitulates, like, the South in the Civil War or Hitler's Germany or something like that, where they're absolutely unconditionally defeated. Both sides would have to give up something. And I'm sure the Trump administration would be a large concession to unfreeze assets. They don't want to do that. But then again, to get the Strait of Hormuz open, maybe they have to speak to themselves. I don't want to speak to the Trump administration, but the thing is, there might be able to be a deal there, but it might be perceived in America as giving away too much. But is without force, is Iran really going to say, we will let you watch or take the nuclear material out, and we will let you have access anytime you want to look at the country? And we'll do all that, and end the blockade. We'll open the strait, and also we want money coming into Iran. Under those circumstances, Mike could weigh in. Under those circumstances, if they did agree, and they of course you give the money, and then they stop letting the people in for inspections. But would that be a possible deal where Iran could get all this money, even though it would go to the IRGC, which wouldn't be the best people in the world to give it to? That would be a consideration. You want to give them money, so that's a bad problem too. So it is very, very complicated. But that would be a deal where Iran is falling apart economically, and if they want to stay together, but they may have a country that's practically only the IRGC, because they would be like self-preservation, and the people, maybe kind of on their own, unfortunately. But that's where we'd be sitting at. So the U.S. wants the total elimination of the nuclear material, monitoring that they don't get it anymore, the opening of the Strait of Hormuz without a toll and without any free trade.
We're going to do the Strait. We're going to do the Strait next. So let's just stick with
So I think that'll be a difficult deal, but I think a deal hypothetically could be made. But we'll have to see. But when they talk about a ceasefire, another 60 days, and then it's a long time to talk. And then every time we have one of these, there are more attacks on each other and things fall apart. But I don't have a crystal ball. And so maybe one of these times there is a deal.
Okay, I just want to say, if they do what the Nazis did and capitulate like they did, a lot of the Nazis wound up in Argentina. And now that Argentina has the first libertarian president in the history of the world, it's not a bad place to go. So maybe the Iranian government will totally capitulate. They'll take off for Argentina and live under libertarianism. How about that, Joe?
You might have a scoop.
Well,
interesting.
All right, Joe, you're up next. Is Iran gonna? I'm gonna grab something that John said here, and would we give, Joe? This is for you. Would we give, unfreeze the assets and start giving money, a la Barack Obama, in exchange for no nukes, complete elimination of their nukes, and complete inspections, like trust but verify, like Reagan said? Would they do that, Joe?
You hit on the 2 points that I was going to make. It's exactly those 2 points. One side would be giving up the $25 billion, and Trump was calling out Obama for like what, 1.5 billion? Then he's going to do 25 billion.
No, that's actually wrong.
You can't do that, right? So that's a poison pill for him. And Iran, the whole point of what they're doing is to build, their weapons program, right? So for them, like, to just like, oh no, we're not going to do that anymore, and now go ahead and come on inside our house and look around anywhere you want. That's a deal breaker too. So both sides have a deal breaker, in my opinion. And I think we're going to be right back here next week talking about this again, and it's going to be a different deal.
Okay, so Mike, is this like going to be over before it starts because of this proviso right here about Iran's nuclear? Well, we got 60 days, so it might not be next week, right, Joe? It could be 60 days from now.
2 weeks. 2 weeks, right?
2 weeks. It's okay.
It's already over.
All right, you're up, Mike. Go.
My associates. I appreciate that my associates have the same view as CNN and most of the mainstream news media, which want to attack and destroy Donald Trump, MAGA, and Republicans. I can understand why they would feel that way. And I can understand the distrust of the government overall, especially because they may not like Donald Trump. Fantastic. But they're wrong. 100,000% wrong. I predicted that this would be over before August. Today is June. I'm right. There is a peace deal, like I expected, of course. And this is tracked almost entirely as I expected because I'm understanding the nature of this. The deal is set. Iran has, by admitting that the deal exists and by electronically signing it, they have already said that they have capitulated and they have already taken the mea culpa and they have lowered their standing in the eyes of the Middle East based on their cultural way of looking at diplomacy. That's already happened. So everything else is 1,000% easier. Yes, there will be nitpicking about whether the IAEA gets to take all the uranium all at once or over time. Does it get to be mixed into lower grade regular fuel for nuclear reactors, which is only about 3%? And so they can use it for that and the rest of it being taken out. I don't really care about that. That's going to happen. They have essentially agreed to that. The question is time and who gets to check on that. It's already done. Are we going to be giving them money for this? No. Now, let me correct Joe. It's not that Obama gave $1 billion to Iran. I wish they only gave them $1 billion. I wouldn't have complained. No, he gave them over $300 billion. And that's a problem because, as John Kerry said on January 16, 2021 on CNBC, the Obama administration was funding the IRGC. The reason why Iran has a rocket that can now reach, or an ICBM that can reach London and therefore all of Europe, is because of the Obama administration. They allowed them to build missiles. That was part of the nuclear deal under Obama. And that's a big problem. And they funded global terror, and global terrorism increased after Obama made the Iran nuclear deal because the IRGC took the money and they dispersed it to Hamas, Houthis, Hezbollah, and several other minor terrorist organizations around the world. So we're not going to make that same mistake. I believe Iran has been humbled enough. That's why the IRGC is fighting against the Ayatollah and the mullahs. They're fighting for control because they don't want to be embarrassed. They don't want Iran to be humbled. They already are. This deal.
Do you think they were humbled because of how badly we pummeled them, or was that just another wait out tactic that we've suffered through since Vietnam?
No, it was because, one, we humbled them militarily. They couldn't beat us. We destroyed their Navy. We destroyed their Air Force. They don't exist. They have drones, and they have far less of them now. And they have missiles, and they have far less of them now, which is a good thing for the Ukraine because they were selling their missiles and, more importantly, their drones to Russia, and Russia was using them against the Ukrainian people. This may, in fact, help the Ukraine get to a peace deal faster because their supplier, Iran was the main supplier of drones to Russia. So we've actually helped two different fronts in the world, increasing global stability with this one deal. Something that most people don't talk about because they don't know that. But what we're looking at here is we've reduced their capability of committing war and acts of war against everyone. They are weak now, and they rely on the United States and our good graces to keep Saudi Arabia and Oman and the United Arab Emirates from coming in and blowing up Iran because they sent missiles against all their private citizens. Those countries, which never liked Iran in the first place, are now angry, and they know that Iran is weaker, and it's only because of this deal the United States will be able to protect them. So they were trying to fight a political war to get Democrats to win so that Democrats could pressure Trump and they could get everything they got from Obama and Biden. And that didn't happen. They could not outweigh that because their economy is over 200% inflation. They cannot survive. And that made a decision.
You don't think, so the bottom line for you on that is, on that question is, you don't think that Trump's going to unfreeze the assets for no nukes. You don't think that'll happen?
Not for no nukes. He will unfreeze some of the sanctions, which include some of the money, for concrete evidence that they have removed their capability and willingness to create a nuclear weapon, as well as hitting several other objectives in terms of terrorism on a global basis. And we're probably going to tie that money to organizations that will track the funding, so that if it suddenly goes and we see that $100 million drops into the bank account for Hamas, we know they're funding terrorism again. And now they broke the deal, and now we can hold them accountable again. That's what I think that's happen.
I wouldn't be surprised if that happens, and the money will already be switched over, right? In that situation, I don't trust any agency to monitor that, and I think Trump is going to get a lot of blowback for doing something that seems very much like what the Biden administration and the G5+1.
But it's really not. It may be said in a way by some. Remember, CNN, ABC News, the left-leaning news media have an objective. They have a partisan goal. They want Democrats elected. And anything that makes Donald Trump and Republicans look weak or bad, they're going to push out there and misreport it to the public, as CNN did, reporting information from the IRGC as if it came from the Iranian government, and were proven wrong the same day they made the report. They don't care. They want Donald Trump to look bad so that people will vote Democrat because they want power. So if we actually look at the deal, as I believe it's going to state, I can be wrong, depends on the terms, but if I am correct and the terms are what I believe they are, then if you're paying attention to details, as I do, then you'll understand it's not the same deal, and we're in a better position than we were in the past. If you're listening to just CNN talk about it, they're going to make it look like, oh my God, Obama was the greatest thing. He's Jesus come to earth in black skin and reborn as a normal man with Mike, his wife or other significant other, and therefore, we should have just stuck with Obama's deal, which was a horrible, terrible deal. So that's kind of where we're at.
Okay. Yes, there actually are some people who think Jesus was black, by the way.
The Bible.
There are people who think it. That's
to be fair,
a topic for another
Jesus.
day.
Jesus didn't look like you or John. He looked like Joe. He didn't look like me. He looked like Joe. That's what Jesus looked like. Let's be honest. And that's not white, and it's not black.
I have no idea.
Skin of bronze and hair of wool. They weren't talking about me. They were talking about someone who looks more like Joe does. It's Persian.
Yeah. I was going to say something else about that. Now, what was I going to say? And I don't remember. So if I get back to it, if I think of it again, I will. All right. So how about the Strait of Hormuz? All right. Let's go down to that tenant in the agreement. And we'll start again, John, with you. So the Strait of Hormuz is going to be reopened. So my question to the panel is, does this take us back to square one? At the beginning of the war, the strait was open. Iran closed it during the war. Now it's going to be open again. Are we back to, what was the point? What was the point of 13 Americans dying?
Okay,
so, at any rate.
Okay, you can test
did we gain or did we gain something?
Okay,
go ahead.
That'll be that'll be what'll be revealed. Okay, you can test this. Take CNN all out of it. Okay, and what you'll see. Let's say you go right now to November 3rd, and what is the condition in Iran November 3rd? So is the Strait of Hormuz going to be open? I don't know. We have no crystal ball. Will they have no nukes, or will they be fully inspected? Time will tell. We'll see, because I don't know. It could be, it might not be. So that's the thing, that time will tell for that. But it would be a change. I got to admit, it would be a difference if they did have inspectors that inspect their facilities, or the facilities are removed and it's inspected that they don't get new facilities. That would be more than the Strait of Hormuz being reopened. But the thing is, we have not achieved that yet. And it's up to the the Trump administration is in charge of the military. They're in charge of this campaign, and they will see if they deliver. That's the question: is can they deliver this? And November 3rd, we'll know. Mike is sure. I do not know. And so it's a crystal ball. But I think the news media, they're going to report what is the situation. They could lie about it, of course, but then again, there's going to be a situation, and we'll see what happens with. And there are also media from outside other countries and stuff like that can report whether they are reliable or not. It's questionable. But I think it's going to be a matter of we just have to wait and see, because I don't know. Don't have a crystal ball. And we may be in the same situation. We may not have the Strait of Hormuz open this November because we have been constantly, we're going to have a deal. We don't have a deal. They want to have a deal. They're really close. But we'll see if all of a sudden there's a deal.
Okay. Well, you're picking November 3rd. Is that when this all
Election.
started? So you're saying like a year?
No, this is the date of the election.
Oh, because of the election.
I'm just putting
I was trying
2 months ahead because the ceasefire is 6 weeks?
60 days.
60 days. Okay, 60 days, that's 2 months. So that's putting it all the way in like August. But I'm saying at what point, because there's a ceasefire for like 60 days, that kind of puts a determinant that this is going to take a while. Now, to do an agreement, of course, it's going to take a while. You have to put all this together. But the main thing is whether both sides agree on this, which is a big problem we've had because one side has said, I agree on this, and then here's my proposal. And they've never, which you have to have a full agreement, they never fully agreed to anything. Both sides never said more than a few minutes apart and said, I agree to A, B, and C. And I agree to A, B, and C. Boom, you have the deal. And then the thing is, if you, in this day and age, if you sign a piece of paper, it might be like Munich. Anybody could sign anything. And so you have to enforce the deal. So the deal, the part will be whether the deal can be enforced and both sides are going to follow through on what they've agreed to. That'll be how the deal will be enforced.
Okay. So what do you think, Joe? Are we just going back to square one? We fought this war. It was open before we started fighting, closed because we were fighting. Now they're agreeing to open it because we're not going to fight. So do we gain anything? What's going on here?
It's worse than back to square one because we are, if everything gets agreed to here, we do just go back to where we were before, except both sides lost lives, both sides lost money, both sides lost their part of their weaponry, their power. So it's been bad. It's been bad for both. There's no winners in war, and that's the case in this right here. And it's funny how Michael thinks this is going to be over with in 60 days or whatever. But in the same sentence, he mentions Obama, which hasn't been president in 10 years. So it's going to continue. It's going to go on and on and on, and both sides are going to continue to lose. And by the way, who is our government to decide that another government can't have weapons? I thought we did that before in the Middle East to a country called Iraq, and then we ended up being there for 20 years, and both sides lost again. So I hope that. Right now, it would be amazing. It would be a miracle just to be able to go back to where we were before this started.
Yeah, I'm gonna put a personal vendetta in mind before I hand it off to Mike, and that is, first of all, before I do the vendetta, before I do the personal sticking point, not vendetta. Sorry about that. Sticking point. 60 days. You know it's going to be extended. I mean, governments always work that way. Nobody here is going to be surprised if it's 120 days or even more. I don't.
Come on, Charles.
November.
Like, we're making progress.
A lot of months to November to see what is accomplished, and then we could sit here and I'll admit if all that is the case, I'll admit to Mike that he was totally correct. That this is the deal, and it was true. And I don't think we'll know. And whatever CNN says and all that stuff, there'll be enough reporting that by all sides and all the obvious that this is the situation in the country right now.
Okay, Joe, and then I want to finish my thoughts. Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, just real quick, about 60 days from now, speaking of elections, is here in Florida, we have primary election day. It's in about 60 days.
Right.
So we're still,
Yeah.
let's see if we're still talking about this after the primary election here in Florida.
All right, we'll see. And then the other thing that I mentioned before, and I was surprised all three of you guys didn't agree with me on this, but I'm going to put it out there again. Gas better go down to, it was the last time I looked, it was $1.55 higher on average in the United States during this war. It better go down the equal amount it went up, because he promised, Candyland and roses and how great gas was going to be so inexpensive once we kill all these Iranians, he being Trump. It better be, because people are not going to forget that. And if he wants to have any chance, if Vance wants to have any chance of being president, he can't run on Trump 3.0 if Trump's perceived as a failure. And this promise about gas, man, it is taking a toll in so many ways. It better be lower, and significantly lower. Otherwise, Trump and the Republican Party is going to have to pay for it, or they'll just run from him, because most Republicans, mainstream Republicans, don't like him anyway. They're just putting up with him because he's won and he's captivating enough to get elected. But okay, Mike.
Okay, so
the floor is yours.
Let me answer the easy thing really first. The prices are already going down. Brent oil prices, according to Brent crude at the close, $80. It's already down, and it's been going down. It went to $125 because you heard what was it? Morgan Stanley came out, and they pumped up the price because they made a lot of money. But as I said then, and I say now, the price is going down based on the deal because Donald Trump has had actual control over this. And by the way, the price of gasoline, which never got over about $4.54, which is still not as high as under the Biden administration, the Democrats had it up as high as $5.02 a gallon. That's the average across the nation. We're not counting California because everything's $2 more because they have taxation. But the nation at this moment, by the way, is at $4.07 according to AAA. Last week it was $4.50. So we are already down, and the prices are continuing down. So we've already exceeded that. That's already working, and Donald Trump has been living up to his word because these are things that change as we go. But we're trending back down to the lower prices that we had at the beginning of this year, which were lower than the Biden prices because Biden was terrible. He had no economic policy. He's a Democrat. He just spends taxes and spends. But that being said, looking at what's happening with the Strait, first of all, a lot is different. It's not going back to what it was. In fact, it's going to something that's more improved because the Iranian Navy doesn't exist anymore. The Iranian Air Force doesn't exist anymore in any functional manner. So what they did, which is something they threatened to do back in 2012 to the Obama administration, what they've done in the past, which is to threaten to close off the strait. They were so terrified. This was their nuclear option, realistically, and it worked to an extent. They closed it off. We're opening it up, and we've removed, at least for the short term, their functional capability of doing it again. And we've also prevented them from getting support from Pakistan, and in Pakistan, I mean China using Pakistan as the transmission means to get oil in and out and to get further supplies. We cut that off. We exposed all of their allies and their weaknesses. This is not repeatable, and the world won't put up with it again. The world, and Iran knows this because the world has largely supported the United States throughout this entire process. The world's been waiting for America to do this. So we are in a better position. And if Iran tries to do this again, the world will call on America to step in and to step on Iran to make sure that this is resolved as quickly as possible. And since no one else could do it, they'll come back to America and Donald Trump to do it again. So that is a big difference. We've also made the world safer, which is another big difference. Again, in taking away their drones, their missiles, their Navy, and their Air Force, we have made the world significantly safer.
Okay, we're only talking about the Strait of Hormuz right here. We're only talking about the Strait of Hormuz.
But these are connected. These things are all connected. And in terms of the Strait of Hormuz, We are looking at, we've already been getting ships through. Yes, 100 isn't as many as we need to get through there, but we have been doing that without Iran's support, and we now are going to have it open. The world is not going to let this happen again. This is a one-time event.
Okay.
We've gotten past this. I think it's a great sign going forward.
So you sparked a question that I'm going to ask you, that I just thought of, that I'm going to ask you, and that is their Navy was an issue in the Strait, right? You had mentioned. So
It had been,
do you?
yes.
Yes, right, and effectively, because our military is the greatest in the history of mankind. We were able to, yeah, I love them to death, as you know. They were able to completely destroy that Navy. So, just off the top of my head, do you think, to help secure the Strait going forward, that a part of this deal might be they cannot build up their Navy to where it was before, kind of like what we did to Japan after World War II, where they couldn't have a strong, because if they're allowed to build it up, then they could use it at any time. But if we ensure that they can't, this is obvious, but I'm just saying it anyway. If we ensure that they can't, because you can only go so far with the buildup or anything that would actually affect the Strait of Hormuz, they have to agree to a limit on that, on that buildup, SALT II limit or something.
I understand the reasoning for that. The answer would be no.
You know what I'm saying?
One, there's cultural factors. I understand why you're saying it, but culturally, that would be seen as a sign of too much weakness for the independence of Iran, and Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates would take that as a signal that they can come in and take over Iran, and they'd be in another regional, actually land war. That doesn't work. What we do instead is, and what I expect to see happening, is we will see that the United States will strengthen its bases in Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates, maybe even adding a base in Oman, so that they can directly monitor the Strait going forward. Now, strategically, that's great for the United States. It gives us more power in the Middle East. It gives more stability to the Middle East. It gives more assurances to other countries around the world that the Strait will be open. That helps to lower the price of oil and gas for the entire world, and more goods will be able to trade through that region with that confidence that the United States is constantly looking over it. Another reason that, as I said, culturally, very different way of looking at this. They need a naval military to defend their ports, because even without this conflict, the Iran is Shia Muslim, and the surrounding countries are Sunni Muslim. I sometimes get those two mixed up, but everyone around them is exactly the opposite of the belief in Islam that is in. The only other person that has the same belief in Islam is Pakistan. So that leaves them isolated and in danger. They need to maintain a navy of some sort to protect their ports, both from pirates, which are very close by. Somalia is not far away, but also to protect them from their neighbors who hate them and would love to see them disappear. So they would never agree to that. They will, and plus it's good stimulus for their economy that they have to buy the steel, a bunch of the components, the electronics and such. That's good for global economy as well, that they rebuild their navy. So on multiple levels, we want them to rebuild a navy. What we want is to make sure that they don't grow a navy that is specifically designed to cut off the Strait. And that's why we would have other bases in the region where we would be able to watch it more directly. And in doing this, this is good for the world economy, good for the United States in developing and expanding our influence in other countries, which allows us to do more trade for those other countries, in particular, Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Oman. They're going to be able to do more trade with the United States. That's good for them, especially local trade with our bases dealing with their local communities. That's good for them. Iran has to buy materials to build up their navy. That's good for a lot of the trading internationally. And so you see this is good economically, long term, 3 to 5 years. that's a good long term, and actually that's considered intermediate term.
You know what I hear there, Mike? I hear we blow the hell out of people, and it's good for our economy, and I think that's disgusting. We should not be blowing the hell out of people.
No, I'm being honest. That's
what's happening in Ukraine too.
Well, no, short-term war. No, it isn't. That's different. Short-term wars tend to be
Joe Biden.
Short-term wars tend to be very beneficial and stimulate economies for a lot of worlds. Long-term, they're very bad. But that's only if you have an organized war with a very organized outlook. And the ending is very important about that. Ukraine is literally one of the never-ending wars. And it was designed by Democrats to never end. And it isn't something we're making money off of. That's a money drain for us. It is a bad war for us and for Russia. It's good for certain other countries, but it's not good for us. So no.
There were only two Republicans who stood up and said that war was wrong and that Biden shouldn't be doing that, and they're really libertarians, and that would be Rand Paul and Tom Massey. All the other Republicans in D.C. were like, let's kill the Ukrainians. Let's kill Russians.
We wanted to kill the Russians, not the Ukrainians.
You're slaughtering Ukrainians because you didn't give them enough. You're slaughtering Ukrainians because you didn't give them enough military arsenal, armament, and the weapons to actually win. We gave them enough to tie.
That's not true.
No,
you could never give the Ukraine enough armaments. They are fighting a war of attrition. It always has been.
Then if you believe
the United States could never supply without actually dropping actual soldiers onto the ground, and more importantly, Europe actually putting troops onto the ground in the Ukraine. Without that actually happening, there is no way under any mathematical formula that the Ukraine can beat Russia. Not because I want Russia to win.
Right.
They have the manpower, the resources, and the infrastructure and the military already in overwhelming numbers to be able to take over the Ukraine. So that was always a war of attrition.
All right. If that's the case, then we shouldn't have been involved in the beginning, and we'll just leave it right there. There is no way we should be involved in a war. That if they had no chance to win, we shouldn't have been there in the first place. Not physically, of course, but we shouldn't have been helping. We should have the best thing that could have happened, and I said this to Donna when Russia invaded, is that it's over in 2 or 3 days because then Ukraine has a country.
That would never.
What happened is Joe Biden is going to hell for what he did in that war. The blood on his hands and the hundreds of thousands of people who died because he gave them enough to tie and not enough to win is pathetic. And if you want to throw in some of the leaders in Europe, I'm fine with that as well. It wasn't our fight to begin with. It was Europe's fight, not ours. We shouldn't have been a part of it. So,
I agree with you.
And so that's that. But yes, unless we put boots on the ground, we could beat the hell out of Russia. I agree with you on that too. All right, Joe. So of course we will continue to follow that, guys, and see what happens over the next week, and perhaps we'll have a whole new debate on what the terms of the agreement is, because I do believe that things will change as both governments start to come out with the official. And it's not the hearsay and the thing that Michael brought up with the IRGC, which I actually did see. Just to go back to that, I saw that. And what was that, like Sunday? Was that Sunday morning? CNN's reporting that, or Saturday, it's going to be signed like the next day. And Fox News didn't have it, because you guys know I go to all of these, right? MSNBC didn't have it, and I was like, well, that's kind of weird. Like, what's going on there? So you got to double check your sources and go international sometimes, where you'll get ideas, and go to reason.tv. And you'll get the ideas and kind of put it all together. It's an art, Anyway, I'm not go down that road right now. So, Joe, you posted something. I'm going to bring this up on Facebook. I would like to have a little bit of a gun control, gun laws, gun control discussion here, because we got some New York news in that manner, and a Supreme Court ruling that Michael fill us in on. And Joe, on your Facebook page, and I'm just going to bring this up so folks can see it. You posted this very recently. How's that looking on the screen there, guys?
Very small for me, but I'm on my phone, so I can't see it.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll reread it for anybody else who's on a smaller device. And so Joe posted yesterday around noon, government observing that we, the people, have a firearm in our property, then arresting and detaining us for it is what the Second Amendment is supposed to prohibit. I thought Texas was a free state with constitutional carry. Free state fail, free James Harden being the basketball player. So what happened here, and why did this irk you?
First of all, since you mentioned Facebook and liking things on there, I just want to say, you know what else I like on Facebook? This show. And I think everyone should give us a like and a comment and a share, and let us know what you all think. And while they're doing that, I will go ahead and talk. I was waiting for that. I was like, oh man, I hope I get a chance to do it myself here. Okay, anyway, yeah, so the James Harden, for those folks that don't know, he's a very famous basketball player. He's one of the elite kind of guys. He plays for the Cleveland Cavaliers. However, he used to play for the Houston Rockets. So he was actually in Texas at the time, and it was like 3 o'clock in the morning. He had a gun on, in his car. I assume he gets pulled over, or someone looks in his car or something. If you look at there's the link to the article in there. I haven't read it since yesterday, so I kind of forgot some of the details. But essentially, the police searched his car, which is also, I forgot to mention, that's a Fourth Amendment thing as well. There was no, as far as I know, there was no warrant given for that. It was just a random search and then seizure and detainment of James Harden. As far as I know, he wasn't doing any harm. There was no other charges. So we the people do have a right to possess a firearm. We have a right to be within our own possessions without the government interference. Like literally, this is anti-constitutional. It's these people should read this right here. So that's what happened, and in Texas, we all pretend that it is. Some people actually believe that it is a free state. It isn't, because if you're getting arrested for having a possession of a gun without threatening anyone, you don't live in a free state. Period. So that's that.
Okay, so do you know if he was arraigned or what the situation is as far as that is concerned?
He was arrested, and then I guess he bonded out. But yeah, I don't know if he has a hearing coming up or not. I would hope I think there's a governor race going on in Texas now. I hope the governor would just drop the charges and not make the pro 2A people, voters, angry there. But we'll see what happens. But if not, vote for Pat Nixon for governor, and he's the Libertarian Party candidate running for Texas governor. Vote for him instead. He'll do it.
Okay, so Michael, do you have some information on this? I see you're shaking your head. Whoop! Did we just lose Mike?
No voice.
Mike, your your microphone is off.
I don't hear him.
Sorry, we had background noise and I didn't notice it. So there's a couple of things that are incorrect information, incomplete information that you provided, Joe, and it makes a difference in the total story. So let me provide the corrections on the updates in news. May not have been available when you were looking at it, but I did look it over. James Harden, yeah, he's a basketball guy. Who cares? He's an entertainer. Who gives a damn? And this entertainer was American citizen, was driving his car in Texas, and he was there was a check, a police check. I think they were checking for drunk drivers, and they're doing a police check. He was in line. Officers were looking over the cars. They were able to observe from outside the vehicle, looking through at the driver, and they saw that there was a firearm on the cup holder, unholstered in the vehicle. That violates the constitutional carry clause and terms of Texas. In Texas, if you do have the right to have a firearm on your person in going around throughout Texas, but you must, if it is in public, it must be holstered, unless of course you're using for whatever reason. So as long he could have had it in the cup holder in a holster, and he'd have gone straight through, no one would have cared. Not a big deal. A bunch of people have their guns as long as they're in a holster. No one cares. It's not a problem. He didn't. That violated the terms of constitutional carry in Texas, and that's why, because it was unsafe. And because that was an unsafe and danger to the public, that's why he was arrested, not because he had a firearm. And then he bonded out, and he has to deal with the case. He should not be pardoned by Governor Abbott, and Abbott is doing the right thing by letting the justice system continue to move forward. And if people in Texas want to amend the constitutional carry to say that, no, you can just have a gun without being holstered out in public, then they can do that. That's a safety issue, but that's a different question. Now, I am happy with the constitutional carry in Texas. I'm happy with the way that they support the Second Amendment in Texas. This is not a problem. If it were any other black guy in America, no one would have gave a damn. It's because this guy is James Harden, and he's got something to do with it.
That's true.
Less. And it's, oh my God, this is such a, and I don't mean, and I'm sorry, I'm not characterizing this from you, Joe, but from the mainstream news media, from many of the black activist groups, which are all left-leaning in America. We're talking about the BLMs, the DSAs, all the crazy progressive socialists out there, the Antifas. They're freaking out because, oh my God, black men, look, it's just like Carmelo Anthony. Oh, black people are all getting picked on. They got a gun. And it's not what happened in this case. That's not the situation. And he was treated like anyone else. If he put it in a holster, no one would have gave a damn. That's the problem.
Okay. So, Joe, just my understanding, and then John, I'm going to ask you a question about this. You're saying that Second Amendment, it shouldn't matter if it's in a holster or not. You have that gun?
I'm looking at the Second Amendment right now, and I don't see the right for the people to bear and keep arms. Except if you don't have it holstered in your car, then we could look. The government could come look at in your property and take whatever they want and detain you. I don't remember seeing that in here. That's not in the Second Amendment, Fourth Amendment. I don't see it here. So and there's another black American named Dexter Taylor who should also not be in jail for these anti-constitutional
very different
laws that the governments have in these states.
I agree about Dexter Taylor. Totally different case. Totally different terms.
Yeah, I agree too. 100%. It'll be interesting to see how that goes down, and if the gun GOA or the other big gun association gets behind James Harden on that. So I have a question for you there, John, and the question is it really unsafe to have a gun unholstered in your car? I mean, is that such a big deal? I mean, look, I'm going to draw the analogy to there are a lot of laws that police look the other way on, right? When they pull you over, you may have like 2 or 3 things, and they'll say, "Well, we're just going to get you for a broken taillight, but the other things we're going to let you go on." Nobody drives the speed limit, right? Unless you're around the school and there's children, but nobody drives the speed limit around here. If it says 65, you can do 80. On the LIE, Long Island Railroad, Long Island Expressway, it was 55. I used to go up to just below 70. Never got a ticket for speeding. Couldn't the cops, John, have just said, "You know what, James, not the best idea in the world. Can you just put it away now and we'll let you go?" He puts it away, they let him go, and it's over. Couldn't they have just done that? Like, what's the big deal? That's what I'm asking. Is it a big deal, John?
Okay. I think it comes down to what the cops are trained to do by their superiors. And so the superior, and I don't know how, I've never been a police officer, so I don't know exactly how it is on the ground, but there are a lot of situations where they do give warnings. But if something is against the law, they could prosecute somebody because that is fair. Now, to Joe's point, you could, like my grandfather, if he was a defense attorney in New York, in Brooklyn, and the thing is, he could challenge the law itself. And it would be up to the judges, constitutional judges, if the Supreme Court, whoever, lower federal courts, to say, is this law constitutional? And you never know with how judges rule. So the judges would have to rule because he can challenge the law. That's your constitutional right. So James Harden could challenge the law. He may lose, but he could challenge the law. But if the law states that he has to put it away, it's under the obligation of James Harden to know the law because my father always says, ignorance of the law is no excuse. And so he should really know the law, but I don't know what they do in Florida. Can you have it out in Florida? I don't own a gun, so I don't have it on anywhere in the car because I don't have one to have, to put anywhere. So I don't know whether the open carry is now open carry in Florida. And so I don't know if you have to put in your glove compartment, you have to have it in your pocket, under your, and then you can open carry it anywhere except on private property. I have to be clear that on private property, some places they do post that you can't go into private property businesses and have your open carry if they post it. I've heard James Uttenmeyer, our Attorney General, speak about that. So it's not open carry, like you can go into private business if they don't want it. And the private businesses have some rights. Your rights may not supersede all of them. So they might say, well, we're uncomfortable with you being open carry in here. We require that you put your gun away. And unless I'm really mistaken, James Uttenmeyer, the Attorney General of Florida, says if a private business says you have to put and they're the thing with Publix, whether it's allowed, whether it's not allowed, but then they post what their decision is. But that's what it comes down to. But if it is a law, I haven't heard of that, but it could be a law.
Can I mention?
Well, I hold on. I actually think that businesses should have that leeway to decide certain things if they're comfortable or not comfortable, and to set the tone and the atmosphere of what the business owners want. But John, bottom line, would you have been upset if you had heard that the cop, doesn't have to be James Harden, just anyone, saw an unholstered and was just like, go, it's no big deal, just holster it up because it's in his car anyway? Would you, John, be upset that a police officer did that?
No, because he's obligated to follow the law. And what they could do too, when the actual trial takes place and he sees the judge speaking to him, it's up to the judge. It's up to whatever can also, because just because he's arrested doesn't mean he is convicted and gets the maximum penalty. So a judge can actually give him some mercy and decide, you could have, now, and you should have put it away. But a lot of people with this law, it's interesting because if I did carry a gun, I never would have thought of that. So could I have been in violation? Or if I owned one, I hope that I would have checked and seen what the law was, but I wouldn't really suspect that would be the law. But it could be. But I don't know if they do that in Florida.
Of course.
All right. So User Been Banned has a comment. He says the process is the punishment. Yeah. I mean, I guess like what, embarrassment because he got caught with his gun. I mean,
his time. Not only that, but the taxpayers are paying for those the drunk driving stops in the middle of the night.
Right. Good.
So the taxpayers are already paying for it, and then he lost his time and probably some money. He's going to pay court costs and all that stuff, and going to jail. It is embarrassing as well. But he has a contract coming up as well, and that's not looking good for him. So it might cost him millions of dollars.
Good.
Oh my
Good.
God.
It should, because it is dangerous. There's a reason why we made the agreement and why the term is to have it in a holster. A firearm.
Let me ask you. We need laws to keep us safe over our liberty.
No. There are reasonable understandings, and there are reasons, because there are lots of people, as we know in this country right now, many of them are illegal aliens, many of them are cartel members that abuse these laws. That's why James Harden, especially because he's an entertainer, should be punished. And in my position, I would say that he should get the maximum because he is a role model. He is an entertainer. He does get press coverage on this. He doesn't deserve leniency. He should get the maximum punishment. He knew better. He was a resident of Texas. He knew what the requirements were.
All right, Joe, go, and then I want to say something.
Yeah, the maximum punishment for it would have been literally nothing. Should have been them not even being there to begin with.
That isn't what the law is.
Not detaining him, not searching his car. None of that should have happened.
No, it should have happened because because Texas as a state under the 10th Amendment, if you want to go with it that way, made a restriction on the Second Amendment, which they didn't have to agree to, that they did make, that they did say that these are terms that everyone has to agree with. And you do have a right to have a firearm to protect yourself and your property, which I do not dispute. But one of the stipulations there is that you must be able to secure your property because it could be a danger to others. That gun,
hold on. Stop right there, Mike. That I want to ask the question. Okay, I wanted to ask this question. How could it be dangerous if it's just him in the car with his gun? So it's not dangerous to anyone else. I mean, we haven't heard that there's anybody else in the car so far. I was reading an article as it went along. So, like, how is that dangerous?
Well, there are several dangers associated with it. The gun itself, which is an inanimate object, is in and of itself, it's just a piece of metal. It's safe. But it is also an indicator of several things. Is it that he's drunk and therefore he had the firearm out because he didn't put it away safely? It's a question of, is he in his right state of mind? That's a very important question, which is a follow-up to, hey, I see the gun out. Second question that could be, and that may also require for him to be involuntarily put in because maybe he's suffering from a mental breakdown. We don't know. He may be wanting to commit suicide. He may be on his way to commit a mass suicide or a mass shooting. We don't know. And that is part of the process that this enables. He could be a cartel member. He could be a gang member. He could be just a drug addict. He could be a lot of things, which is why he would be stopped. He would be questioned. And it is a question because what if he's reaching for that firearm because it is unsafe? And I don't know if he's dumb enough to have the firearm outside of its holster. He's also dumb enough that he might have it loaded with the safety off. He goes and picks it up, that hits a bump in the road, and he fires the firearm in a city and shoots a kid. Is that possible? Well, it's not a high level probability. There's a lot of factors, but we start adding up all of the things that he's done that could make that more probable. Again, the law is there to protect the maximum amount of people, whether or not everyone agrees with it, whether or not everyone likes it. And I'm not saying that I'm an almost absolutist, on the Second Amendment, but there are some things that we have agreed to. Under those restrictions that have been approved by the state, not the federal government, the state has approved these and said that this is something we will abide by, then that's why we do it. Again, it's not the firearm that I'm upset about. I'm not. Nor is it the fact that he owns a firearm. That's not a problem. I don't care if he's an entertainer, except that that's used as an excuse to give him a lighter sentence when he should get a stricter one. But it's because of everything else associated with that, especially now that we find out he's going to be held to a different standard, because if I had that firearm and it was loose, and it was exposed, well, I would be treated the same. I should be treated the same way as James Harden, which means that I would be arrested.
You know that. None of us would be.
I'm not. But at the moment, at the moment, James Harden is being treated like me. He's been arrested, as he should be. And anything else would be a travesty of justice. Whether you like or not the original question, which is, does he have a right to own the firearm? He does. Second Amendment is okay. Does he have a right on his property? He does. Fourth Amendment is okay. Does he have a right to have that firearm unholstered, which is now we are starting to multiply risk and danger to others. And in Texas, according to the 10th Amendment, they passed a law in their state that said, no, you cannot. Therefore, he can't.
Okay, can I?
And that's the rub. That's where the rubber meets the road on this, because clearly I don't think it should be a law. I kind of signaled that when I asked that question. Neither does Joe. Mike, you do. That's the great part about this society. We can have that discussion. John, 1 second. User's been banned. Said the other problem is, can anyone say that the judges we have now are reasonable? That is an open debate. I know. I don't know about Texas, but I know a lot about New York and how unreasonable they've been up there. So go ahead, John.
Okay. Coming from two generations of lawyers, Florida law might be different than Texas law. Okay. And the thing is, I have a concern, I think a valid concern, that the open carry laws we have now, you could debate whether you like them or not, but my debate is they're so new. When it all of a sudden there was a court ruling, and then the Attorney General said, it's been ruled that open carry is legal to have in a state. And so I declare that, Florida can be open carry. It sounded like that's what was done. But the thing is, if this law was passed, I question, not that though you can't, you can say you don't follow the law, but I question if it was publicized well enough. So maybe since open carry is such a new thing, that students should really be taught in school what the laws are for open carry in a car, because that's something that because I'm a teacher, and that's something that should really be addressed with driver's ed, because before they might have taught them something and said it has to be in the glove compartment, or it has to be concealed and has to be but now it's open carry. So the thing is, I think it's an obligation for the teachers of driver's ed, and when you get a license, to inform you really well. It could really help that what the law, because how else are you going to know what the law is? You're going to look up in law books and all that, but you should while you're training to drive a car. That
you should when you're training to learn how to use the gun and to take possession of the firearm.
Right. Okay, but you don't need training in Florida. You don't need to have any training whatsoever to have a gun. And so the training in the car, I think, would be the thing where you're in driver's ed. And what could have been saying this is the law?
Well, no.
And then if you apply it, at least you knew it.
No.
I think the bigger point there for John, the bigger point there is that you need, ignorance of the law is no excuse, as one of you said.
Yes.
So whether it's driver's ed, if you're James Harden, driver's ed was like 30, 40 years ago, I would imagine. I don't know how old he is, actually. I may be a little bit too high in those decades. But it's been, I don't remember much from driver's ed other than I should wear a seatbelt, because I'm so old that seatbelts weren't a law when I had driver's ed. And they shouldn't be the law now, but we won't discuss that. But if I want my head to crack into a window without my seatbelt on, I should be allowed to. That's called liberty.
The question is, does Charles and you, I don't know, do Charles and you know what the law is on carrying a gun in your car? I don't carry a gun. I don't know what the law is.
I have no clue.
You know what the law is, whether we could have it on a seat or on your thing. I really honestly don't know.
I know in many states. I know the law for many states on whether or not you can possess a firearm, open carry, and or what are some of the terms of open carry for several states. And many people can. In fact, if anyone has a question about that, you've got this wonderful Library of Alexandria with you. It's called a cell phone. So, that's not an excuse. That's not an excuse. That's not a reason to circumvent this.
It should be more publicized, because open carry is a new thing, and it should be publicized.
No, it's not. It's not a new thing. No, it's not.
No,
it's a new thing for Democrats to pick on till they can attack the Second Amendment. It is not a new thing.
No, it's not a new thing anywhere in America. But being legal in America, in Florida, legal in Florida is a new thing. Because we couldn't have open carry like a year ago. It's a new thing to our state, so that citizens.
But we're talking about Texas.
Texas, but I don't know Texas, but in Florida, it is new to Florida, and I think it really is important to know what the law is, and if the law is very well publicized, like a lot of other laws that you learn in driver's ed, to put on your blanket.
You realize,
John, I think it would be good.
John, you realize that both the state of Florida and, I will hazard to say, the county that you are in right now in Florida, since January 2026, has instituted at least 50, if not 100, possibly 1,000 new laws this year. Do you know any of them?
Many.
If you are like and I'm not picking on you particularly, but this is an example. And I can say for my state, New York, I know of a dozen new laws in New York City and in New York State since the beginning of this year. And I can tell you for a fact, there's over 250 new laws on the state and in the local level. And no one knows all of those laws. Now, you could say, well, we have too many laws. You can say that these are laws that they shouldn't have on the books. That's a different argument. But to say that, oh, well, we have to, then we would be doing nothing but teaching laws all day long. It is
so here's
kind of the buyer beware. If you want to be informed, you must pay attention yourself. It is not for the government via schools to teach you.
All right, Joe, and then I'm going to say something, and we'll wrap this up. And I want to go on to something else.
Stan
Joe,
McDaniels, First Florida. That's the case. Stan McDaniels is from, I believe, Escambia County. He was the person that the case was ruled. He was the victim of the government infringing on the Second Amendment and Fourth Amendment when they took away his gun. But Stan McDaniels, that's the court ruling, and that was like not even a year ago. So
thanks.
That's,
all right. So the answer to go ahead. I cut you off.
No, you're like 10 seconds behind me.
Oh, okay. The answer to the question, the answer is, if you have a gun and you don't know whether or not you should have it open or not in your car and you care, you should look it up, because it's impossible to know every single law, and you should. Yeah, I mean, I agree that you should be able to have your car. I'm with you on that, Joe, that you should be able to have your gun anywhere in your car. It's perfectly fine. You shouldn't be arrested for it. However, since there are laws for it, then you should, if you want to take your gun into the car or any weapon that you may have, look it up before you do it. And because, like Mike said, it's impossible to know all the laws that get passed every year.
Agreed.
So you need to look that up. However, go ahead, Joe. What were you going to say?
So it's okay that Dexter Taylor is in prison right now?
No, totally different case. Totally different.
Yeah. Okay. Users been banned posted something here. This is fine. This is why this show is great, and we could all have a laugh along the way. People who hold handguns sideways should get a fine for being a RERE. I don't know what that means. A rear? Is that an acronym? What is that?
You can't say it's a status of someone's mental.
Retard. I'll say it.
Okay, yeah, but that's something that's generally not said anymore. So yeah, that's the way of saying.
Got it. Okay. Well, just for clarity. And then Mike responded, people who hold their guns sideways are cartel members and are in danger. Look them up. And yeah, Yusuf and Ben laughing. Yusuf and Ben loved it. That's the best, man. I love it. I love that we can always joke around like that. So Mike, there's another so speaking of how we're not so sure if the judges are being reasonable, as Yusuf and Ben said right here. Apparently the Supreme Court came down with something that messed with New York. What's going on there?
Yeah, this is a little bit more clear cut, and I think it's just absolutely insane. So previously in New York State, under Andrew Cuomo and supported by Kathy Hochul, New York State, by the way, is a single party state, kind of like California. It's all Democrats. So Republicans are not responsible for this. Libertarians, conservatives, no one else is responsible. Everything wrong in New York State is because of Democrats for the last 60 years. And one of the things that they screwed up in terms of the Second Amendment is they decided under Andrew Cuomo that you could sue a gun manufacturer because someone used a firearm illegally. So as an example, some nut job decides to get a firearm and then they go shoot up a school, or they get into a gang war fight and an innocent person gets shot, blah, 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 all the permutations of that. And so the gun manufacturers can be punished for an individual who bought their tool and misused it. And in New York State, they said, yep, that's perfectly fine and legal, which is stupid, because now you should be able, every time someone hits property with a car because they were drunk driving, then Toyota and Ford should be paying, and you should be able to sue them. Every time you get a ding because someone hit you, you should be able to sue the manufacturer of that car. We all say that's stupid and no, you shouldn't. Same thing with the firearms. But according to Democrats in New York State, no, it's the fault of the gun manufacturer on how an individual uses that. It's a stupid law, and it was challenged in court in New York State because it is a stupid law. And that, of course, New York being a single-party Democrat state, it went before a Democrat judge who was, I believe it was Biden who appointed this judge. And of course, what happened? He said, no, the law is perfect. This is a great idea. The law says that that's the way it should be. And so it was then they appealed to go to the Supreme Court of the United States. The Supreme Court decided not to look at this. Now, this is one of the few cases over the last 3 years they've looked at, last 2 years, the Supreme Court has looked at 3 different major Second Amendment cases and have gone in favor of a more conservative, more constitutional view. And that's been great for America. They didn't look at this one. They should have. They should have obviously looked at it because it's very simple and straightforward. If I stabbed you with a fork, here we go. I got a spoon. And I always hate that thing with California, gag me with a spoon. Yeah, I got a spoon. I'm going to gag your ass. And let's say that you did because they asked for it and they deserve it because they're a dumbass. I hate that term. But then they said, well, that was not consensual and that's a crime, as it obviously would be. But now we get to sue the spoon manufacturer. You would tell me that's stupid because it's not the spoon manufacturer's fault that I decided to gag someone because they asked for it. That would be either my fault or the person who asked to be gagged with a spoon. It would be their fault. So, one of those two people, which are the end user of the product, not the manufacturer of the product. Every other situation and circumstance that you can apply the same logic that New York is applying to gun manufacturers, and in every other example, we as a nation and as individuals will say that is ridiculous. It makes no sense. It's not quite unconstitutional, but what it is an end around. If there are no gun manufacturers, then they can make no guns. Therefore, you can't have a Second Amendment violation because you don't have a gun. That's what they're attempting to do, which is very deceptive, and it is very it's vicious, and that's what they're doing in democratic states. I hate this, and I wish the Supreme Court had picked it up, but they didn't, and I can't for the life of me figure out why they didn't. And all this does is hurt people in not only in New York, but in California, in Illinois, Massachusetts, in Oregon, Washington, Colorado. They're looking at these cases in New York, and they're saying, well, if New York didn't get in trouble, we could do it too. And that just means millions of people are being punished for something stupid. And it also hurts the economy. So there's that too.
Yeah, I agree with it. It is kind of surprising and it is straightforward. But I will say that I will ask, John, do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, on that, I agree with Mike. I know the reasoning behind the law, and you don't, you're not, if you sell something, you're not in control of what people do. I do have, if I could have another issue with Florida, making up a law that I really don't understand and seems totally unfair and affects my life. Okay, get this. If you have a public sector union, if you are any public sector union besides school teachers, you can take direct deposit out of their paychecks to pay their dues. But as a law in the state of Florida, that if you're a public school teacher, then it's illegal to take the direct deposit out for your union dues. And that's to kill the union. But any other public sector union, it's legal. And for the teachers union, it's illegal. And so I can't see that as any way except punitive to the teachers because we've been having it out of the paychecks.
Okay. Wait. We're not talking about that yet. We're not debating that right now.
Okay.
I want to know what Joe wants to think about the gun thing.
First of all, Michael, I am strong believer in your right to open carry a spoon and have it unholstered on your property. Well, be careful, because your Democrat governor there is probably going to make that outlaw too and put you in a cage. So vote for Larry Sharp for governor in New York, so that Michael doesn't go in a cage for opening unholstered a spoon. So, but yeah, that aside, well, it's obviously a law I don't agree with. What is it again? What were we just talking about? I kind of went on a tangent there.
We're talking about the Supreme Court in New York.
Can sue the manufacturers if somebody uses a gun and kills somebody. You can sue the manufacturer of the gun that they sold you the gun.
No,
the Supreme Court wouldn't hear the case.
I didn't understand why they would do that, but now, like, the explanation of that is like, oh, if the gun owners or gun manufacturers don't make the guns, then in theory, no one has them, and then there's no Second Amendment infringement because no one could buy a gun anyway. So I actually never even went down that rabbit hole, but
you're not supposed to.
Make sense.
You're not supposed to.
Against it still, but now at least I could understand the reasoning behind it, because to me it made totally no sense whatsoever.
Right.
And I agree 100% with the analogies being very silly with regard to the spoon analogy, obviously, and having your car. Yeah, you should have, absolutely, unless there was an actual what's it called? Like a car manufacturer has a
defect,
a problem.
Yeah.
So other than that, and those happen, those recalls do happen, because they do happen from time to time. But for like a car accident or something, just like everyday kind of thing.
I have a recall. Yep, I have a recall on my Jetta. For anybody who's got a Jetta out there, I have a recall on my Jetta because apparently they screwed up the dashboard, and you can get misinformation on your dashboard when you're driving. Now, it hasn't happened to me. I got 48 hours until I bring the car in, but that seems like it could be a problem for certain drivers at certain points when you're on running your errands. John, what you brought up, I think is really interesting, and we should talk about that next week. Let me just take a moment. Oh, I already took my show notes down, but I'm gonna bring my show notes back up, and we'll talk about union obstruction.
Like, comment, and share.
What's that?
Take a moment to like, comment, and share.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Before we get out of here, I got two things we're going to do. That's going to be one of them. So, folks, this has been a fantastic show as always, because the crew here is awesome. So, if you like this type of conversation where folks can get along and have strong opinions, but still get along. Oh, you know what? I got something to tell you guys, just in case you didn't see it. Like, comment, and share, because if you care, you will like, you will comment, and you will share. And also subscribe. Subscribe tells you when I'm going live. So subscribe to find out when I'm going live, and like, comment, and share. That shows that you care, even afterwards. And I have one or two people last week who did come on afterwards and made comments. So absolutely do that. And I try to get back to it every day, once a day. I go through all my social media and respond to people, as best I can. So absolutely do that, and I'll get back in touch with you. So I got to tell you guys something. I had a Trump Christian Welker type moment last week. I don't know if you saw it, either live or on the replay, but I had a candidate on who, you know how this show is. You know how you guys are here. I selected you guys because you can have strong opinions, but you don't hate each other for those, and you realize that rational folks can have difference of opinions. Well, I had a candidate on who all they wanted to do was knock the other guy, and this isn't an other guy bad show. And I said to him, "Oh, we don't really do that here," and I apologized to said person, but yet they continued on. I gave them 3 chances. And I said, "You're either going to tell us why you're good, or I'm ending this right now." And they went once again to talking about why the other person was bad. And I went, "Okay, folks, we're gone." I didn't even do my usual goodbye. And I just hit the thing and we were gone. So it was like the Trump Christian Welker thing, except instead of the guest walking off, I walked off. And I killed, but I left the show up there. So yes. We
makes sense.
I say I thank you. I say that to point out the beauty of this show and the folks like Gabe who have come on when Joe can't be there, and Addison last week, and me, Michael, and Addison. That was an awesome show last week. I loved it, and I do, John. I do have somebody. Thanks to Addison, who is interested in coming on. They're running in Jacksonville. He wants to check with his manager first to make sure it's cool. His campaign manager, but I think that somewhere down the road, he's definitely going to be on the show. A Democrat, somewhere down the road, he's definitely going to be on the show. And Addison Liberty Patrick, who's running for Jacksonville City Council, tipped me off to this Democrat who she met, on the campaign trail. So we might have a Democrat for the two weeks of the month that you're not here.
Yeah.
So I am going to wrap it up with where I started, folks. And I do have some AP news that probably came from the press conference. The Associated Press, there's no information yet on the crew from the B-52 that crashed at Edwards Air Force Base, where all 8 members died. However, aerial footage showed virtually nothing left of the aircraft. So we'll leave it there. I looked at CNN. They didn't have any real update. Yeah, go ahead. No, fine.
No, it's totally separate. But I know we're ending. So just real quick. Iran will lose to New Zealand today in the World Cup 2-0. And I will be cheering. Everyone should be cheering for New Zealand in the World Cup. Group G, 9:00 just started. We want New Zealand 2-0 for Iran. Kick them out of the Group G. They should be out of group play, and we'll be moving on. That's what I'm hoping for. That's what I'm going for. Call me whatever you want, but I want Iran to lose. And I know America won't get past the first round, and that's okay. Because my favorites are Argentina and Germany anyway, and they're both doing all right.
I was just going to ask you that. Is anybody else following the World Cup?
I used to, but didn't America beat Paraguay like 4-1?
Yeah, but it's Paraguay. Who cares?
Yeah. It is. It's
Paraguay. It was surprising that we won, and especially by 4. But it's Paraguay.
It is.
Historically, if you follow the World Cup, when the home team usually, not always, but usually gets pretty much the best grouping to get past the first round.
Oh, really?
Because they do. They automatically get the number 1 slot. And one year, Russia, it was in Russia, and Russia did really well. To their credit, they weren't supposed to be super good, but there was nationalism or something. And so the World Cup was in Russia, and they didn't win it. They didn't get to the finals, but they went past the group stage. They went past the first round.
Which is pretty big for them.
That would be unexpected. Round. So they overachieved, and it was the home crowd that kind of overachieved. And when it was in South Africa, Ghana years ago, when almost to the finals, and a guy missed on a penalty kick, and they should have beaten the Netherlands, and they should have been in the finals or semifinals or something. And an African team has never been to the finals. I think the semifinals too. The African team has never been that far. But Ghana and Mali one year, I think, made it close. They made it past the group stage. Ghana usually beats the U.S. Somehow we get paired together. So we have a history of that.
All right. Are you following it, Joe?
No. All I heard, before tonight was that the United States did beat Paraguay, so that was good. But I just want to leave my little note here. I mentioned them earlier. I'm going to say it again because I believe in the Second Amendment all the way. Vote for Larry Sharpe for governor in New York so we could free Dexter Taylor. Vote for Pat Dixon in Texas so we could free James Harden. Thank you.
All right, folks. I don't follow the soccer thing either, or European football either. Bronner's checking in. Looks like I missed the live show. Yeah, but it's on again. Just Google what's the name of my show again? Just Google The Opinion Guy and you'll see it.
Yeah. Now did
Wait,
Joe?
It's right there, Bronner, right underneath my name. Come on, man, it's late.
Now to Joe, I did have an incident once, which I thought was very fair. once right near my house, right where I am now. I was coming in from the Altamont Mall, and it was dark. It was starting to get dark. It was dark, that kind of thing. And I didn't have any lights on the back of my car, but I didn't know it. So a state trooper had pulled me over, which you're supposed to do. I mean, appreciate their awareness. And then the guy, this is how it worked out. He said, try to put on your emergency flashers, and at least that'll be on. And those didn't even work because the circuit or something was out. And so he said, he apologized. And I said, no problem. I understand. But I got like a $7 ticket. So the thing was to save him, which I understood. If I got in an accident and all of a sudden I'm driving off in the dark, I had like, I'd love to put the lights on. That's the right thing to do. But I'm stuck and I'm so close to home. But he said, you know, a $7 ticket. And then a police officer I knew, a family friend, was able to sign it. And he said, that's the way you can do it or something, and made it $350.
Holy smokes.
So I got two very, and I knew the one person, but it was all legal. I said, make sure all this is legal and no, but that's what happened. So that was fair of the state trooper, especially to, he stopped me and he said, you probably have no idea, but you have no lights in the back of your car. And that was true. And I understood he's doing his job and he's supposed to, and I could have gotten in an accident. I could have, been slammed in the rear because no one could see me, but you have no idea. And so he understood kind of, and he said, well, $7 ticket, which he could do. Right. And it's like, okay. So sometimes
no lights in the back.
Yeah.
No lights in the back. All. That sounds like no lights in the back of my car. It sounds like it should be the title of somebody's autobiography. Yeah. No lights in the back of my car.
But I thought that was a very good thing by the cop. There was a fair thing that there was a penalty, but he didn't want to throw the book at me. And he knew that I didn't want to drive unsafely, but you don't always know the back of your car. You should check it, but you don't always know if the back of your car, you assume the lights are on.
And that's a great courtesy. I like that, actually. I've been pulled over twice for my taillights being out, and both times I got home and I checked them. They were working both times. That kind of pissed me off, but yeah. In your case, it actually wasn't working.
Right. He was right, and he did the right thing because you need to do your job. And I understood, and I understood. I said, hey, I understand. I don't have any, I'm guilty of not having the taillights, but I had no earthly idea. So naturally, I did the right thing. And the next day, I went right to my car place and said, I don't have any taillights. You got to fix this. And it was fixed right away because it was a safety issue.
In 30 seconds, I'm going to tell the kids out there that I was pulled over way back in the day for being drunk, and the cops let me go. So there was a time. This is in Suffolk County, eastern end of Long Island. There was a time when you could drive drunk and get away with it.
Yeah.
Okay, how about you, Michael? Do you have a 30-second? I was pulled over.
All my stories of being pulled over or having cops pull guns on me are extended stories. It's happened a lot.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I've never been arrested though.
All right.
There's a lot to that.
I have a DWI because when they started arresting you for it, then I got arrested.
Oh boy.
So I have a DWI.
Ooh.
All right, folks, we're going to end it there. But it's been a great 2 hours as always. Yeah. Thanks everybody for being here, and thanks for all you who commented and for being out there wherever there is, because I don't know where in the world you are or what time it is in your neck of the woods. But no matter the time, I hope you had a good time this time. Until next time, we will see you later.